The river did not look dangerous. That was the first mistake. It moved slow and wide through northern Florida, brown-green and opaque, its surface reflecting sky in broken patches where sunlight slipped between overhanging cypress trees. The rental house stood on wooden stilts just above the bank, with a narrow dock extending into the current. It was marketed as quiet, private, perfect for a weekend away from the coast. No crashing waves, no tourists, just fresh water and silence. Adam had chosen it specifically because it wasn't the ocean. Sharks belong to salt water. That was the logic. That was the comfort. Emily liked the isolation at first. The air was humid but warm, dragonflies hovering over the surface in metallic flashes. The dock creaked lightly under their steps as they unloaded coolers and bags. The river smelled faintly metallic, layered with mud and plant decay. It wasn't unpleasant, just heavy. The current looked lazy from above, barely shifting leaves caught near the bank. Adam tested the depth with a paddle. The water swallowed the blade quickly, deeper than it appeared. Visibility was less than a foot. "Murky but calm," he said, satisfied. They let their dog, Rusty, run along the shoreline while they unpacked inside. The house interior was simple but sturdy. Large back windows faced the river directly, giving an uninterrupted view of the dock and water beyond. Late afternoon light turned the surface almost golden, peaceful, undisturbed. Rusty barked once from outside, not alarmed, curious. Adam stepped back onto the deck to check. The dog stood at the edge of the dock, tail stiff, staring down into the water. The surface looked unchanged. No ripples, no visible movement. "Probably a fish," Adam called casually. Rusty barked again, sharper this time, and leaned forward, paws near the edge. Then the water broke. Not violently, not explosively. Just a sudden, heavy displacement directly beneath the dog. Rusty yelped once before vanishing. There was no thrashing, no prolonged struggle. Just a brief eruption of dark water, and then flat surface again, ripples spreading outward in perfect, widening circles. Emily ran outside, screaming the dog's name. Adam stood frozen at the dock edge, scanning the water as if it would reveal what had taken him. Nothing surfaced, no blood, no bubbles, just slow current sliding past the wooden posts. "Alligators?" Emily whispered, voice shaking. Adam nodded automatically, because it was the only thing that made sense. Florida rivers held gators. Everyone knew that. But gators leave signs, bubbles, drag marks, a floating trace. This had been vertical, up, down, clean. Adam crouched at the dock edge, staring into water that reflected nothing back. The current shifted slightly near the center channel, a faint, V-shaped wake forming and then dissolving without visible source. He told himself it was debris drifting under the surface. A log, a submerged branch. The river looked the same as it had an hour earlier. Calm, slow, harmless. But the silence afterward felt different. The insects along the bank had quieted. The air felt heavier. Emily stepped back from the edge instinctively. "We should go inside," she said. Adam didn't argue. They retreated to the house, closing the sliding door behind them. From inside, the river still looked unchanged. But Adam couldn't shake the image of how quickly the water had opened and sealed again. No warning, no second attempt, just a single efficient strike. As dusk settled, the surface darkened to near black. The dock lights flickered on automatically, casting pale cones onto the water. The glow revealed suspended particles drifting in the current. And for a moment, just a moment, Adam thought he saw a shape move beneath that light. Long, solid, too streamlined for an alligator. It passed beyond the beam before he could focus on it. The river resumed its slow, indifferent flow. But something had entered it that did not belong only to fresh water, and the current beneath the surface was no longer as empty as it appeared. Night did not fall over the river in layers. It dropped. The last orange reflection faded from the surface, and the water turned from brown-green to absolute black, swallowing the dock lights into dull halos that illuminated nothing beyond a few feet. Adam stood by the window longer than he admitted to himself, watching the current slide past the wooden posts. Emily sat on the couch with her knees pulled close, replaying the sound Rusty had made, that short, confused yelp cut off too cleanly. "It was a gator," Adam said again, more firmly this time, as if repetition would solidify it into fact. Gators were predictable, territorial, visible at least part of the time. But something about the strike kept bothering him. It hadn't rolled. It hadn't thrashed. It had risen straight up and disappeared straight down. Vertical force, efficient. The dock creaked suddenly. Both of them froze. The sound wasn't dramatic, just a weight shift against wood, subtle but deliberate. Adam stepped back outside with a flashlight despite Emily's protest. The beam cut across the dock boards, then down into the water. Nothing. The current moved as before, slow, unhurried. Then the dock shifted again, this time harder, the posts vibrating as if something heavy had brushed against them beneath the surface. Adam crouched and leaned the flashlight closer to the edge. The beam reflected off suspended sediment, turning the water into a clouded wall. Visibility was less than 12 inches. He swept the light left, right. For a split second, something pale passed through the beam. Not the broad armored back of an alligator. Smooth, solid, moving against the current rather than with it. It vanished as quickly as it appeared. Adam pulled the flashlight back instinctively. The surface remained flat. He told himself it was imagination amplified by darkness. He started to stand when the impact came. Not from the side, from below. The dock jolted upward violently, lifting one board free from its nail and sending a sharp crack through the night air. Adam stumbled backward, barely keeping his footing. The water beneath churned in a tight circular motion for 2 seconds before flattening again. Emily screamed from the doorway. Adam rushed inside, locking the sliding door behind him this time. The house stood elevated on wooden stilts driven into the riverbank. That elevation had felt secure earlier. Now it felt exposed. The river pressed directly beneath the structure. They turned off the interior lights, leaving only the dock lamps glowing outside. From inside the darkened room, Adam watched the illuminated water carefully. 5 minutes passed. 10. Nothing surfaced. Then slowly, a V-shaped ripple formed just beyond the light's edge. It wasn't drifting debris. It was directional, deliberate. The ripple cut through the glow and passed directly between the dock posts, before fading back into blackness. Emily whispered that sharks can't live in rivers. Adam didn't answer immediately. He knew something she didn't. Bull sharks tolerate fresh water. They travel upstream, sometimes miles inland. He had read that once, casually, never imagining he would be standing above opaque water, wondering what moved beneath it. The dock creaked again. lighter this time, like something brushing along the underside with controlled force. Not testing randomly. Mapping structure. Emily backed away from the windows. Adam stepped forward despite himself. The river surface swelled briefly near one of the stilts, bulging upward without breaking. Then it sank back. The house vibrated faintly through the floorboards. The realization settled slowly and cold. Whatever had taken Rusty had not left the area. It had not been startled by their presence. It was still here. And it was not circling the bank like a territorial gator. It was moving through the current like something designed for open water, adjusting speed with muscle built for distance. The dock light flickered once, twice, then steadied. Adam felt the shift in air pressure just before the next strike. The impact slammed into one of the support posts beneath the house, strong enough to rattle dishes in the kitchen cabinets. The structure held, but barely. The river erupted for a fraction of a second, a thick dorsal shape cutting the surface in silhouette before submerging again. This time there was no doubt. No armored ridges, no floating eyes, just a streamlined back and a tall, triangular fin slicing through the glow before disappearing. Emily saw it too. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. The river was not calm anymore. It was occupied. And the current beneath the house was no longer empty space. It was patrol. They did not argue about what they had seen. The fin had been unmistakable. Not curved like a dolphin. Not low like debris. Tall, rigid, deliberate. Emily stepped back from the window slowly, as if distance from the glass could translate into distance from the river itself. Adam locked every door again, checked each window twice, then stood still in the center of the living room, listening. The house rested on stilts, driven deep into mud, but mud is not concrete. The river pressed against those supports, with quiet authority. For several minutes nothing happened. No strikes. No visible movement. That calm was worse than impact. It meant the animal had not fled after revealing itself. It was comfortable in proximity. Emily whispered that they should leave now, drive out. But leaving meant walking down the stairs toward the truck parked near the bank, crossing open ground 10 feet from the water's edge. The river ran parallel to the driveway. In daylight, that distance had felt harmless. Now it felt exposed. Adam moved toward the back door anyway, rifle in hand, scanning the dark water as if visibility would improve through concentration. The dock lights still cast their pale cones across suspended sediment. He stepped onto the deck carefully. The boards creaked under his weight. No immediate reaction. He moved down the steps toward the gravel strip where the truck sat half-shadowed. The night air felt heavy and wet. The river gave nothing back. Emily followed reluctantly, staying close behind him. They reached the truck without incident. Adam unlocked it, opened the driver's door. And that was when the water detonated. Not near the dock this time, near the bank. A massive surge exploded upward from the shallows directly beside the shoreline, close enough that spray hit the side of the truck. The ground vibrated under their feet. A thick gray body twisted just beneath the surface, jaws breaking water for half a second before slamming back down. Emily screamed and stumbled backward. Adam fired instinctively into the turbulence. The bullet struck water. The surface flattened almost instantly. No thrashing, no panic retreat, just the quiet slide of current resuming its flow. Adam realized the strike had not been random. It had been calculated to intercept their path to the vehicle. The shark had moved from beneath the house to the bank silently, using depth to reposition. It wasn't reacting to noise, it was tracking movement patterns. Emily was shaking now, breath shallow. "It's blocking us," she whispered. Adam didn't contradict her. He looked at the river differently now. The current was not lazy. It was layered. The center channel deeper than it appeared, the shallows deceptive. Bull sharks don't need ocean surf. They need space and prey density. This stretch of river had both. Adam backed toward the stairs slowly, rifle still trained on the water. The house felt like the only elevation between them and something built for ambush. As they climbed back onto the deck, the river shifted again, not violently, but with a low bulge cutting diagonally across the surface toward the dock posts. The shark was adjusting angle again. It had tested shoreline. Now it would test structure. Adam reached the deck just as the first full breach happened. The shark launched partially from the water beneath the dock, jaws open wide enough to expose rows of thick, conical teeth. It didn't clear the surface fully. It didn't need to. The impact into the underside of the dock shattered one of the support beams completely. The wooden platform dipped sharply to one side, boards splitting with a crack that echoed across the water. Emily fell hard against the railing. Adam grabbed her before she slid toward the edge. The dock tilted further as another strike hit from below. The animal wasn't trying to climb onto it. It was destabilizing it, removing footing, removing access. Adam dragged Emily toward the house as the final support beam snapped. The outer half of the dock collapsed into the river with a heavy splash. The shark's dorsal fin cut through the falling debris, circling through broken boards as if inspecting damage. Adam fired again, aiming at the shadow beneath the fin. The recoil jarred his shoulder. The bullet struck something. He saw a flash of white belly roll beneath the surface. The water churned violently for 3 seconds, thick and frothing. Then it stopped. Silence again. The broken dock pieces drifted outward in slow arcs. Emily clung to the doorway, staring at the wreckage. Adam understood something chilling in that moment. The shark was not leaving after injury. It had absorbed impact and recalibrated. This was no random wanderer pushed upstream. This was a territorial apex predator that had discovered prey movement above it and chosen to test every structural weakness available. The house might be elevated, but the stilts were still wood, and the river still owned the ground beneath them. The next strike would not be warning. It would be commitment. And they were standing on a platform anchored directly into its hunting ground. The broken half of the dock drifted slowly downriver, boards turning in the current like discarded ribs. The water settled faster than it should have after something that size had thrashed through it. That calm was deliberate. Adam stood at the doorway, rifle steady, but useless against what he couldn't see. Emily's breathing came in short, uneven pulls as she stared at the dark surface where the fin had vanished. "It's hurt," she whispered, as if injury guaranteed retreat. Adam knew better. Predators built for open water don't panic when wounded. They adapt. The house trembled faintly as the current pressed against its remaining supports. For several long seconds, nothing moved. Then a shadow passed beneath the surviving section of dock. Slower this time. Controlled. The dorsal fin did not break the surface. It didn't need to. The shark had already learned the layout: shoreline, stairs, vehicle dock, stilts. It had tested each one. Adam made the decision without saying it out loud. Waiting meant surrendering initiative. The truck was still their only way out, and the river could not occupy land for more than a moment at a time. It needed depth. They needed elevation and speed. "When I say move, you don't stop," he told Emily, voice flat and focused. He grabbed a fuel can from beside the generator and sloshed gasoline along the remaining dock boards and down the lower steps leading toward the water. The smell cut sharply through the humid night. Emily understood immediately. Fire changes territory. Fire creates boundary. Adam struck a flare and held it for one suspended second, watching the river's surface for movement. Nothing broke the water. He dropped the flare. Flame raced across the soaked boards in a violent orange line, cascading down the steps toward the broken edge where wood met water. The river reacted instantly. The surface erupted near the fire's edge as the shark surged upward in a reflexive strike, jaws snapping through flame and splintered debris. Heat met muscle. Steam burst upward where fire kissed water. The animal twisted hard, tail lashing with explosive force that scattered burning fragments across the surface. But fire does not sink. It floats for seconds. It forces hesitation. That hesitation was enough. "Now!" Adam grabbed Emily's hand and sprinted down the opposite side of the deck toward the gravel path. The house shook behind them as the shark struck once more into the burning wood, destabilizing what remained of the dock completely. Boards collapsed into the river in a shower of sparks. The smell of scorched timber and fuel mixed with brackish water. Adam didn't look back. He focused on distance, 10 yards to the truck, then 5. He shoved Emily toward the passenger door and circled to the driver's side, boots slipping slightly on loose gravel. The water beside the bank bulged outward again. Too fast, too close. The shark launched from the shallows in a final intercept attempt, body clearing more water this time than before, propelled by pure mass and velocity. It didn't need ocean depth. It used the drop-off near the bank like a ramp. Jaws clamped onto the rear tire of the truck with a metallic crunch that echoed through the night. The vehicle rocked violently sideways as several 100 pounds of muscle and cartilage collided with it. Emily screamed. Adam dove inside and slammed the ignition. The engine turned once, twice, caught. The shark thrashed against the truck's side panel, tail slamming hard enough to dent metal. Teeth tore rubber from the tire in jagged strips. Adam floored the accelerator. The spinning rear wheel sprayed gravel and sand backward into the animal's open mouth. The sudden torque broke its grip. The truck lurched forward violently, fishtailing before straightening along the narrow dirt road that paralleled the river for nearly half a mile before turning inland. Adam didn't slow. He drove blind through drifting dust, headlights cutting erratic beams through humidity still hanging in the air after the storm. In the side mirror, for one final second, he saw it. A dark shape sliding back into the water near the broken bank, dorsal fin cutting once through reflected flame before disappearing beneath the surface. The river resumed its slow movement almost immediately. No pursuit, no dramatic chase, just stillness reclaiming the shoreline. They didn't speak for the first 2 miles. The truck rattled over uneven terrain, one rear tire wobbling but holding. Emily pressed shaking hands against her mouth, trying to steady her breathing. Adam's hands were locked white on the steering wheel. When the road finally curved away from the river and climbed toward the main highway, The pressure in his chest eased slightly. Not relief, just distance. Distance mattered. Behind them, the house would burn partially where the dock fire spread along the lower beams. By morning, authorities would find splintered wood, bite marks carved deep into stilts, fragments of dock drifting miles downstream. They would label it an unusual encounter, a rare upstream bull shark event, environmental displacement, migration pattern anomaly, words that reduce weight to paperwork. But Adam would remember the vertical strike that took Rusty without ripple. He would remember the way the fin moved against the current instead of with it. And most of all, he would remember how the animal never rushed blindly. It mapped. It intercepted. It recalculated after injury. Rivers look calm because the surface lies. The current beneath is layered, directional, purposeful. Something that enters from open water does not lose its nature when it swims inland. It adjusts. Weeks later, fishermen would return to that stretch, casting lines into opaque depth, convinced freshwater means safety. The dock would be rebuilt. The rental relisted. The current would look slow again, harmless again. But somewhere beyond visible sediment, in channels too deep for light to penetrate, something built for salt would continue to patrol quietly through brown water. Because territory is not defined by salt content. It is defined by access. And the river had already proven it could open and close in a single motion.